If you want to visit the 60s or 70s of the last century, you don't need a time machine. It's enough to be in an area where everything remains the same as it was during the Soviet Union. The same houses, the same people, the same apartments, the same way of life. Hello friends, my name is Julie, and you are on the Soviet-born channel, where we tell the whole truth about life in the Soviet Union. Today, we will visit one family. The apartment is small, but many people live there. So it may not be filmed in as much detail as I would like, but I really want you to see how people live who moved into this apartment back in the 70s. And since then, almost nothing has changed here. So, let's take a look. It's the center of the city, and here are those very houses. These are two-story buildings, which were called Finnish design back then. I don't know why they were called Finnish houses, but as far as I understood, they are panel houses. If you get closer to them, you will see for yourself. We enter the apartment itself. By Soviet standards, it's a spacious three-room unit. We're in the entrance area, or hallway, which connects all the rooms. The ceilings are impressively high at 3 meters. Everything remains exactly as it was back then. There's a dedicated space for outerwear, crowded with coats and jackets, since 5 people share the apartment. From the hallway, you can access the bathroom, kitchen, and 3 rooms. This is the entrance to the main room, the so-called living room. Pay attention to the doorways. They are exactly as they were when the house was built. Wooden and solid. The house is many years old, but everything is preserved just as it was. Here's the dresser mirror, which is also completely preserved. The meter and wiring run throughout the apartment on the surface because the house is wooden. For safety reasons, the wiring is installed along the upper parts of the walls. There is a stained glass window here, designed to bring natural light into even the darkest corners of the apartment. Now we move into the main room, where the whole family gathers to watch TV and entertain guests. It's the largest and most elegant space in the apartment. Along one wall stands an impressive wall unit, prestigious furniture during Soviet times. Displaying valuable dishes, household items, and books. Everything remains exactly as it was, perfectly preserved from that era. Books were abundant in Soviet homes, as were collections of dishes and decorative items. There was a particular fascination with figurines and souvenirs during that time. All the most precious and interesting pieces were displayed here, giving hosts something to show off and discuss when guests visited, each item with its own story to tell. In this next section, you'll see the crystal collection. These tea sets and crystal pieces were rarely, if ever, used. They served primarily as decorative items, perhaps making their way to the table once or twice a year for special occasions. Their real purpose was aesthetic, a display of beauty and status. Here are such glasses and goblets. They were the same for everyone because it was mass production. In every home of the Soviet Union, you could see such dishes. A radio, little cups. This factory was very famous in the Soviet Union. You see, these cups are over 60 years old, but they look like new. Here are such crystal cups. This was one of the most desired things. A crystal dish, the most desirable dish. It was precisely by such items that one was judged about the prosperity of the apartment. All the furniture from that time, for example, this cabinet, was made in Czechoslovakia. It is glossy, and it has been well maintained. As you can see, everything is preserved just as it was. All the best, all the most valuable items were kept here. For example, here is a Soviet bear, still big and sturdy. You won't find such toys anymore, of course. And every apartment had a sewing machine. This is the Podolsk brand made in the Soviet Union. It was almost an exact copy of the German Singer machine. And here is the lovely household cat. A very interesting machine, and it is still used, even though it's very, very old. The area itself is, of course, very interesting, because the houses are preserved. People continue to live here and take care of them. Some houses are already destroyed, and only such remnants remain. People have always tried to improve their living conditions. They put up fences. In Soviet times, it was very fashionable to keep pigeons. It was considered prestigious. There used to be pigeon lofts near the houses. Inside, there were pigeons. They were proud of them, exchanged them, and selected certain breeds. Now you can even see remnants of down, which indicates that there may still be pigeons there. Here is such a little window. Pigeon coops looked different. Some placed them on roofs. And when the houses were small, they installed such little sheds. They were very protected and guarded. You see that it's metallic, secured, with complicated locks. This is what a pigeon coop looked like. It was a very popular hobby, a very popular pastime usually engaged in by adults. Owning a pigeon coop was considered prestigious. That's why it has been preserved in the form it was in. Moving on to the bedroom, which is now used as a children's room. As was typical in Soviet apartments due to space limitations, many rooms were walk-through. As I mentioned earlier, 3 generations share this apartment. And this small room is home to 2 children. It's fascinating to see how modern furniture harmoniously blends with pieces that are 50 to 60 years old. Take note of this interesting bedside table, made in Czechoslovakia, likely a remnant of an old bedroom set. I wanted to show you the owner's suitcase, but it's unfortunately blocked by jars. However, these jars actually tell an interesting story. They contain real winter preserves, still made today. Back then, preserving vegetables wasn't a hobby, but a necessity. Due to severe food shortages, especially of fruits and vegetables, most people had dachas. Summer cottages where they grew their own produce. Anything that could be preserved for winter was prepared in enormous quantities and stored throughout the apartment, wherever space could be found. I'd like to show you this carpet, the so-called Persian rug. These carpets were very expensive and were mostly hung on the wall as decoration. This rug is now about 60 years old, and it has been laid on the floor. The main size is 2 by 3 meters. It is made of natural wool, and as you can see, its quality remains excellent despite the years. This is a small bedroom, although by this apartment's standards, it's considered large. There are many things, many people, so there are storage areas everywhere, both in the wardrobes and above. I want to show you a real wooden window. This is what it looks like. The heating is with cast iron radiators. It's made of natural wood. The window is as old as the apartment itself. And now, let's move on. And here is a house nearby that I want to show you. You see, the area is fenced. I will try to go in if possible, so you can see it from the other side. Here we have viburnum growing, and here is the entrance to the house. A place for rest has been organized here. Such gathering places were common near every house in Soviet times. This is like a sandbox for children, although there are beer cans scattered around and a small sofa here as well. This is how it looks. And here is the house itself. We'll look a little further. Each house, each apartment had its own designated space. You see, they are fenced off from each other. And here is part of another apartment. Here is the entrance to this apartment. Such a neighborhood. I say that people continue to live in these houses. Nothing changes. The area is quite large. But unfortunately, not everyone can maintain their homes. Some put modern plastic windows, while those who can't afford it live about the same as they did before. This is how they live. Now, of course, machinery is working, cleaning up the trash, trying to clear the area. But it seems to me that nothing will change here in the next 20 to 30 years. People were promised relocation, but so far, nothing has changed. The only modern thing here is probably the trash containers. Very interesting people live here. I'd like to show you another place. People patch up the holes as best they can. But winter is coming soon, and the temperature drops to minus 35 degrees, with snow and wind blowing through everything. Through the corridor, we reach the kitchen. The kitchen comes with the preserves. The kitchen is walk-through. And the most interesting thing is that everything has been preserved as it was 60 years ago. It's made of natural wood. The storage areas, as I mentioned, are located at the top because the ceilings are very high, which allows for such storage spaces. The owner is making preserves. The window faces the street. The areas here are standard. A sink, dishes, enamel cups from that time, and aluminum cookware. Modern items are closely intertwined with items from Soviet times. For example, there's a flour sieve, a colander. All of these have been preserved. There are storage areas above as well. The kitchen cabinets are made of aluminum and metal. They are also from the 1960s, used for storage. Very interesting cups and dishes. Dish hangers, which were in almost every house, are still used, even though they are 50 to 60 years old. They are restored, repainted, but still in use. The same goes for enamel mugs. They too are from Soviet times. Most people also maintain household gardens. You can see here that they're harvesting crops. The harvest is being gathered now. The preserves I showed you are stored in jars entirely, brought from the dacha. These are cucumbers, tomatoes, and peppers. And a cute little cat. A very interesting wooden cabinet. Wow, what an interesting cabinet! I personally haven't seen such cabinets in a long time. I think, see the stickers? These stickers were made during the perestroika. vintage shelves and a fish grater. This is such an authentic kitchen. Next, I'll show you the bathroom. The bathroom is standard, with built-in storage areas, a window, and a real cast-iron bathtub. The wash basin is also from that time. Hello? Everything is very modest. By the way, these cast-iron bathtubs are incredibly durable. They are nearly impossible to wear out. To move such a bathtub, you need at least 4 people because it's very heavy. Here's the bathroom. Unfortunately, I couldn't show you another room, as I mentioned earlier, because many people live in this apartment. In the far room, another bedroom, there's currently a sick person lying down. So I couldn't show you that room. This is the interesting apartment we have today. I hope you liked it. I couldn't film it as thoroughly as I wanted. I still hope you found this tour interesting. I'd like to emphasize that despite the presence of modern items, the apartment still retains the full spirit of the Soviet Union. It feels as if you're stepping back into childhood. I apologize, friends, that the apartment tour wasn't as complete and detailed as I had planned. The reason is that many people live in this family, and the apartment's owner has very complicated family relationships. She promised to tell her sad story in more detail next time. She might even show not just her apartment, but her dacha as well. So stay tuned for future videos. Everything will be detailed there. I assure you, this woman's story is very interesting. For now, I want to say goodbye to you. I'm looking forward to your comments, and I hope to see you very soon. Subscribe to our channel. You are watching the channel Soviet Born. My name is Julie. We talk about real life in the Soviet Union.
До свидания, до встречи.